and you are welcome to the first edition of The Watchman, a show that is dedicated to investigate issues affecting you, issues of corruption, injustice, and also bring you all the various public interest cases that bring development straight to your grassroots. And this evening, we have in our midst an economist which will be delving into the question as to whether Ghana is back to IMF. But before we continue or we start the interview, we would like to go to the streets and then seek the views of Ghanaians to see whether or not they actually know whether government has gone for another $1 billion. My name is Efokoshi Senyo, and we'll be right back.
Yamobi Biara Akwaba at the VTV. Medi The Watchman. Now, the Akoso, our mind Ghana mo, a sick assem, and he said the Amanyofo Ebu Yamino, and a VTV in some for and the Watchman, for Yati Hongo Montenso, and amount for a Babacasa, a Fasadia and Sema Ecoso, and I'm sick assem, and baby I say, or mine a bob bread a drew Sierra. A year 2016, or my opinion that John Dramani Mahama, at or mine Ghana, Echo IMF, Echo J, Bosnia, a year 918 million US dollars. Nasa semi a bayano, then some not party or muti opposition party, a NPP, or Musole Cassetti, a did found said, or mine, a man penny notice or mine apu, na any coins or mine Ghana, a tima, a yes, Kakoko, and natural resources, Adolian, a buoyan swing. Yes, I'll say a Bosnia, if it's all my mighty, Sika Ankasa a womb. Now, and no. Pagina so Emma amount for a month for tea, not a month for swasum, and when see about 2016, no amount for argument no also to a banner Edema NPP. No more Macas, Ometima, Amasika Semono, Esimi Adjano, Omatimia Ababi in ye, and when see a Trabana more a mobile, or much first 4 years, second 4 years more anyway. Now, another bay now to just say, last year. A year NPP and no any or mine Nina Esako IMF Aqua Jessica $1 billion US. Say the Baba bo on mine a jodi any or mine sick asem and kindco na enunchemu no last week ya no or my asako beam asako akwaje $1 billion aka ho say aye $2 billion so ade ye bisa ne say enti on mine ayetimu no empanfo mu di onim skill magi ade ba de pote no mu da ya abo mine na oban ne mu nipa ene emu nkura ya wo mu ne mpanfo adwumayefo faso be ni benya firi so enu ti na ya tiegu ho ya tie ho agwamontin so yani amount for eba kasa baby ejina eye adenta madina adenta down market one ejina yani amount for between nkomo afa ya ensem ya mabibi so achirewi na so hu de ekọ bidin edit kwame asante a champion di machi na yani amount for entwetwe nkomo ese ya baba bedu ya wadenta afi kamana mene papa yi entwe nkomo emfa de ekoso oman Ghana emu obi mbachoma akwaba e de aba VTV so
thank you
ebacho udin
Ede Emmanuel Nat.
Okay. Openye de abeto dwa nyina na se eye afe etwemu be se 2016 even say 2015 ebe mu nya no omampanyin da John Dramani Mahama e de oman Ghana ko IMF ame ko pay sika aye bosia said be ya betimi de aboama oman ni sika sem etimi atumpon then time na MPP na opposition omutifie but omu condemn say enye se sika o Ghana ni kwa say ko bi ekopa bosia but this year ye kasa this year no last year MPP Nana Branco Kufado Edianimo no Odomaya Sako Amaya Sako $1 billion US. Fair last week ya Omasa kwaji $1 billion US. But a person say so Sikame Bliba ye budin so see bontin a didn't equal so bontin send a sike as on for so Ebama and Kofo.
Saska Sia Okoji Sisiano to me who know the
okay.
Still Enquala Etidiase Etradi.
Okay.
Adeta a nembre body Ghana. Nenkola still Enquala any access to their classrooms. Enquala soon hospitals, Beble soon, Bepia, Ukoleba ward, Ebinu soon. Saday, I didn't econosa. You say you won't a judge for children. Obia children. I dated a course, sir. To net yet to me.
Okay. It is all share on my penny tissue. When money boa, mamma, at saying,
oh, papa no. Enkoyi. Walusu. Enkoyi. Because papa no. O say we na dwene nyi. Eti kwala na control no. E say ne ese so ye no ontimi ye. Eno se watukwa ko ba say ye hu no ye.
So o kire say on panyin otukwan beble bet ye hu emfasode bia afiri mu.
Ska bia odi bo man no. Okay. Then e bre. Okay. Still, she na ekoso wo man no. She nipa ewu. She cast it. She kwala ewu. Okay. She accident. She ni ma ekoso no. In fact, Edin. Eti Ghana for say ye. Bible say nipa boni for di o man so o man no bre.
Okay. Okay, mutia sepa. Yeah. And you see no as on mine papa na so on mine what's him no. E dey ba na yeso individual beti my aboa. So the be asan na my ekoso ye ase beti metu.
Enu ntina na asan. Crofo bi emebu no bi sorry say face the country. Okay. Because things are not going well. Okay. People are suffering. Marketing women are crying. Individuals are crying. I'm crying. Everybody is crying. Okay. Children are crying. Eti send ye so ye no onye na ye hu toyen. Eti ebre. Okay.
Wo ye obi apoma ye we tailor.
Yeah.
Na wo hwe ebra na ye fan say NDC amamu no ene dia wo bechirim sen.
It's far better.
Eti de na ye na de na ye.
Stam no is far better. Enye na so you say light of buy na kasa na light of na do so but ene ye. Okay. But say no. My brother.
Me meet you pa.
People are suffering.
Dwumede so the watchman. Yes I do panyi bi nche ne betwetwe nkomo afa ensem wi ho enam sika MPP government akwaje about 2 billion. Last month ya tama finance minister ba parliament media budget review no. Waka say oman tama covid ba yakwa na yankwaje IMF na bede akwaje na yankohoda enkwaje bosia. Ba yisi na ababa todwa say oman na nado dan kwa di animu sabre ade yakwa akwaje sika last year $1 billion. Afei so this year last week 23rd year oman sad $1 billion as abeto account no mo eno na yebisa ho asem say opanyini asemi what na what yes sara what ne sen.
Well, as a concerned citizen there, who right to be also between actually wadrin or many decision bibia because we are the next of kin in case of say in penifoni ni hwa any debt biara umbeja wo bia no during our era no any ebetua start debt because somebody omoko but recently in meti wo Ghana web say IMF for ama oman $1 billion because of problems ni challenges bi ayede ye fam na but if you could remember o man penin before be banoka say o man ye tisika so ye ho kire but we the citizens we don't know the reason why obi ye tisika so and God being so good we are blessed with all the resources. Yes. But enye say ka ye ho kire na still ye ho say kire ni and because of unemployment and answer because of management and misappropriate of our resources in na crime ni medra ni nyoma bebre den ekoso o man nti say sika ya IMF wo ekasa o ma dia grant o man $1 billion minim so far project bi metima ka so man penini e dia ya na so o de be ya e betumi ni say appoint say this $1 billion na efi IMF we project say nti say na man penini scan o abakoje no yen hwe say ye de ni be di atire ye be hu say at least say sika we say ye de say and I mean be suggesting say unim say sisi unemployment high o man mu now say expect say we the citizens yen contribute 100 cedis for a cathedral project na had enten fa sa $1 billion no ayakoje IMF no fa nye sa project no na wadako kra say bia uni ho na so aban ni ho kra na ye betumi ayisu sa cathedral no for another tourist and say bibi e dey set sa debt na we expect say ye nye adwuma no e na ye metua sa ye contribute for sa what they call cathedral project no ti sa $1 billion ni dey minim ade so potian o me de beye but upon loan ni dey bia ye gigibia na still o man se ne ete ye hu any development biara nti ubisa mi amadwemeti ma kire wo ho ano
obi bebisa se last month ya na finance minister the media budget review na oba ya na small can say there's no way kind of say Ghana back to IMF as akwakoje bosia na eno na we na say pino we be say it won person mu twa entro and as say no more year o person be bi so am ye hunu wo je ne say
oh like I said earlier on me being or me happen to be a citizen in this country you know ade bi empanifo ne beka biara no akwa say omo pe yen ya adwin anase akoso mu pray with yen ya adwin because o ka say yen go back to IMF yenye what they call self independent at least it depending what say other countries for our support to near in this system no kind there to my best of knowledge in there I can conclude say they were throwing dust into our eyes. There's no iota in truth in whatever he was saying. So I don't believe in what he was saying. It's full of fallacy.
And the medals so J Ben and
okay, Mr. Medasi.
This is the Watchman. Today we are hitting the streets of Accra to take the views of people about IMF. Now, during Mahama's era, Mahama took a loan of 918 million from IMF. During those period, the new opposition party, which is the NPP, stated categorically that they will never take money from IMF since the country itself has money. Today, the new party, which is the NPP government, has taken money from IMF, which is $1 billion. Just last week, the NPP took $1 billion again. So we are taking to the streets and asking people what they make of this whole thing. Now let's walk to the streets. The president has taken $1 billion from IMF last year. And then just last week, it took $1 billion again from IMF, making $2 billion. So the question is, during Mahama's era, Mahama took $918 million from IMF, which the opposition party by then was NPP. They stated categorically that they will not take money from IMF since the country itself has money. Now, here to realize the question, they have taken money from IMF, which is $2 billion. The question is, what do you make of it? Because we are not seeing any infrastructure, we are not seeing anything. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So how do you make of all this issue?
To be honest, I'm not very political, so I don't really understand the whole MPP and NDC situation. But what I do know is on social media some time ago, a clip of the sitting president during a speech he gave during, I don't remember what convention it was, but he was speaking to the French president. And I remember him saying that Ghana was more than self-sufficient and they didn't need any more aid. And we will no longer live off charity. We were just going to do business with whoever wanted to do business with us. So it's a bit embarrassing for him to say that and just go back on his word. It has nothing to do with being MDC or NPP affiliated. It's just loving your country and wanting the best for it and not seeing it and just seeing these politicians shamelessly just spend money. It's almost like just do what you want to do now because it's embarrassing. I just can't wait for the current government to just get off so that we can actually see some progress because clearly they cannot bring it.
So do you wish the current government clear off?
Of course I do. What they're doing, it's not personal. You see, you came and you proposed an agenda and you didn't fulfill it, not even minimally, so it's not even personal. It's not about we like you or we don't like you. Okay. It's about we gave you a job and you're not competent enough to do the job, so let someone else try and do the job. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you are welcome back to the Watchman. And like you have seen from the views on the street, that is what they are saying about IMF, and some even are expressing that they don't know that government has actually gone for another 1 billion. These and all issues, we will put them together and throw it to the economist. That is our guest for today, so he can provide his expert opinion and then answers to the various questions. And today we have Professor John Gachi. He is an economist, a reverend finance economist, a lawyer, educationist, and he is the dean of the University of Cape Coast School of Business. We have him here this evening, and we are honored to have you here, Professor. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's go straight to the point. The question today is, we would like to know, Ghanaians would like to know whether or not Ghana is back to IMF, because there have been this back and forth that, former President Mahama's administration took Ghana to IMF, but now we are no more in IMF. But Last year, we heard that the government took 1 billion from IMF. Just last week, we also heard that government took 1 billion from IMF. So we would like to know whether Ghana has gone back to IMF. But before you provide us with this particular answer, we would like to look at the historical background, brief historical background as to IMF's contribution into the economy of Ghana, going back from independence to 1993.
Thank you. Well, I think the IMF has provided a lot to the economic management of Ghana since independence.
Okay.
But for the purposes of this discussion, I want to focus my attention on the period from early 1980s.
Okay.
That was the time that there was total disruption in our economic management. A lot of Ghanaians moved to Nigeria for greener pastures.
Okay.
We have a lot of infrastructure dilapidated. We were not able to have any roads linking to our cocoa producing areas. University students will have to fill the gap by going into the hinterland, bring cocoa beans to the nearest place for export to earn export revenue to manage the economy. Our fiscal situation was bad. Employment was not robust, and livelihood of our people became a problem. And that was also triggered by long period of drought,
Yes.
which brought about hunger.
Hunger, yes.
That was the first time most people in Ghana started eating yellow corn.
Okay.
Especially the areas of Ghana where yellow corn was not used for food. That was the first time. That was the first time that Kokonte was used broadly across the country. And that was the time that those of us who were living in the villages, we were actually feeding on palm kernel a lot. That was a time that basic commodities were not available. For you to buy kerosene, you have to travel long distance to get kerosene. You have to be in long queues to get kerosene. That was a time that the word kalabule and smuggling was a commonplace throughout the country. So the IMF came on board to support Ghana recover, revamp its economy, and get out of that problem. So the IMF...
Yeah, so Prof, I'm not cutting you, but before you go there, what contributed to what actually degenerated into all the things that you talk about? Was it a bad economic management, or what really happened at the time?
Yeah, we can say bad economic management, corruption, mismanagement, which was also fueled by intermittent military intervention. There were a lot of coup d'etats, so there was virtually no stability to focus on grounded economic management policy. So that could be the reason. And I also talk about along the line, especially in the 80s, the long period of drought, etc. So agricultural production was totally out of place. So these are some of the things we could say at that time. But basically, mismanagement, corruption, intermittent coup d'etat that we were experiencing. So the IMF came on board to support through the structural adjustment program. It was the case in those days that the IMF was seen as a fiscal international police officer. That if you derail in the fiscal management, that creates problem for you. They come with a whip in the form of a program. Impose that program on you, that you be under that program with their monitoring eyes.
Okay.
Until things have been restored.
So to help you come back on track.
Yes.
Okay.
And mostly they were focusing on stability, the sustainability of your fiscal management.
Okay.
So that was the reason why you will see anytime the IMF come on board, then we'll be thinking about enhance or increase taxes, bringing on board new taxes, etc.
Job embargo on
job cards, etc. And so the structural adjustment program was supposed to restructure our fundamentals in terms of our economic management, the framework. When they came on board, the policies were painful because we ourselves, we have packed a number of our brothers and sisters, family members, etc., into the public sector.
Okay.
The job that 2 people were to do, 30 people were doing it.
Okay.
So that the IMF said that if we are to help you, you should take these painful measures, that this place needed 3 people, but you are keeping 30 people there. You need to do something about it.
Okay, okay.
So what it means virtually is that people who were earning, whether they are working or not before earning, they will not earn again. Then therefore, the pain. People who were paying lower taxes will now be forced to pay enhanced taxes. Definitely that will bring an erosion in their disposable income.
Okay.
Therefore, it's a pain, it's a burden. They will complain. So as a result of this alignment, when the IMF comes on board, there are people who believe that the IMF doesn't bring only good things to us, but they bring about burden and distortion. And there are people who believe that the program they bring to us, they are not the fundamental solution to our problems. So after some time, we go back to those things. But again, when we are analyzing this thing, we should ask ourselves, why is it that when the IMF comes, they tell us that you need to enhance the taxes? Because those are areas that countries that are mobilizing funds to bring to us to support us, those are the taxes they are paying. They are managing the taxes well. They invest the taxes into the economy in terms of good public transport system, good road network, rail network, internal airline facilities. They invest into social amenities such as electricity connection, water, that is potable water. That is what they do where they pay those taxes. But we collect these taxes only to fill a fiscal gap. But not because we are going to use these taxes to invest in the people in terms of those social amenities that we talk about. And that is the reason why we have to go back and come back to the fundamental principle. So one of the major problems is not necessarily the IMF, but our unwillingness to invest our resources in the people. Our own mismanagement or poor management of our own resources is one of the reasons why IMF keep coming.
Okay.
If we do not mismanage, if we do not derail the economy, there's no space for the IMF to come.
Okay. So, Prof, with the structural adjustment program, did it come with maybe a financial package, or it only came with the policy, support?
It came with financial package, and with policy.
Okay.
And normally, we have been calling something called the conditionality.
Yes.
Which means that
is the word many will not like to hear.
Yeah. Which means that, well, the conditionality only means that under normal circumstances, proper management would have meant that the tax revenue you are collecting, you're using to provide water. Okay. So what that means is that
just sanitize the system.
Just sanitize to ensure that this is what you should have been doing. But you have not done that.
So, Prof,
so what it means is that all that the IMF is saying by that principle is that you should have been expanding the economy to be absorbing people into various areas. But you are managing an economy which only means that majority of the people should be recruited into government sector. You are not feeding and investing in your private sector to be an engine of growth and engine of employment. So you only have a slogan to mean that the private sector is an engine of growth, but it is not engine for recruitment of people.
Okay.
So if we look at subject these things critically, then the hand will still be, the finger will still be pointing at our own management principles that we are following, our own ability to manage our economy. Just like in the US, if they put a policy in place, they can clearly tell you that this policy is recruiting this number of people.
Okay.
They can clearly tell you that this growth will be recruiting this number of new people into the job market. So that is what we should be able to do with our policy, with our program, with our activity. But unfortunately, we are not able to do that. So yes, on the emotional level or on the pain that citizens will bear because of some of these conditionalities, we will all cry, we will all complain. But for a long time, we have not directed our anger to our government.
Good.
And we have created the scene that it is the IMF. I'm not saying that all the prescriptions on IMF are good.
Okay.
But the question is, why do we continuously go to the IMF? It's because of failure in leadership over a certain period of time. And that we need to visit.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's take a quick look at the period between 2000 and then 2006, from 2000 to 2016. We know of Ghana going to HIPC. Is HIPC part of IMF program?
Yeah, HIPC is part of IMF program. We can say it's a joint program rolled out by IMF and the World Bank. And what was the issue? The issue is very simple, that most countries in sub-Saharan Africa, some Latin American countries, and Eastern European countries, they have managed their economy to the point that they were burdened by debt, repayment. Some of them were rescheduling their repayment of their debt to their creditors and bilateral, stakeholders or creditors. And they were not able to invest in their social amenities. They were not able to invest in access to good and potable water. They are not able to invest in agricultural facilities like irrigation facilities, etc. They are not able to invest in access to electricity, and there was endemic poverty coupled with high debt. In fact, that is the reason why they call the package HIPC, Highly Indebted Poor Countries Initiative. So it's to address the debt sustainability issues and at the same time invest in people to reduce poverty. And these issues started, the IMF put this program in place around 1995, 1996. Now, there has been this argument in Ghana that, okay, it is NDC that led MPP into HIPC.
HIPC, exactly.
But I do not think that is the issue. The point is that NDC was in power throughout the period that HIPC was introduced. 1995, 1996. Question is, why is that NDC didn't take the initiative to go to HIPC 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000? The reason is that there are other alternatives to manage the economy. So if you come to power in 2001 and you decided that you will go for the HIPC alternative, then you have decided to go to HIPIC, so for that matter, IMF. So you cannot blame that on your predecessor, because as I said, HIPIC was available to NDC. They could have chosen that as an alternative measure, but they didn't choose that as an alternative measure. So if you choose it, you should go with what the former Minister of Finance, who also became the senior minister under this government, and now he is now a senior presidential advisor. I recall he stated that I took Ghana to HIPIC and I will lead Ghana out of HIPIC. I took Ghana to IMF, I will take Ghana out of IMF. That was what he said those days.
Okay.
So if we hear today...
That was Honorable Yawsa former...
Yes. So if we hear today, people are saying that the argument is we went to IMF because the things that the NDC government left, he said that the only thing to do is to go to IMF. It is not correct, because you could have used another policy measure to deal with whatever problem you have campaigned to come and resolve. Okay. So if you choose to go to IMF and take part in the HIPIC initiative, it's because you believe that is the best for you. So you should own up that you went to IMF for the HIPIC initiative because you saw benefit A, B, C, D. That's why you went. And I believe Ghana went because of the benefit. Okay. Because the president at that time indicated that I took the initiative because I thought that is the best for Ghana. Okay. So if today we are hearing from the generation of government officials that we went to HIPIC, we don't go to IMF. It is only NDC that goes to IMF. It is NDC that sent out to IMF. That is misinformation. Okay. That is not correct. It's a choice that has been made, and a choice was defended by the president of at that time and the finance minister at that time. So I want to say that going to IMF for the HIPIC initiative was a choice by the NPP, and they need to live by that choice. Okay. But I want to say that the HIPIC initiative had a lot of benefits. Okay. We actually expected to receive about $3.7 billion worth of debt relief. Okay. $3.7 billion worth of debt relief. Now, $3.7 billion between 2001 and up to 2008 thereabout. It's huge money. People who have their country at heart, this relief you are getting, this is what you should have used it for. Number one, we are saying that we saw your poverty. That is why we are giving you this debt relief. So this debt relief, make sure you invest it in social intervention programs. Okay. In fact, that was the reason why initially MPP was claiming that they have invested more in social intervention because it was a conditionality. That you receive this money, you come out with a program that will affect the people to reduce poverty. So that was the reason why we saw a lot of investment spread across the country in social intervention, because that was a condition that was to be met to receive the debt relief. And the debt relief was not coming at a go. It was coming in tranches. Okay. So when you present your program, it is accepted, it is released. Oh, okay. So we shouldn't make it as if...
Yes, but Prof, at this particular HIPIC period, we understood that this is what we knew at the time, that Ghana's debt was forgiven, and that instead of you coming to pay those debts, you rather use those monies to invest in social infrastructure. Is that the case?
But it was a condition. That's the point I'm making. Okay. So I said that we were finding it difficult to repay our debt. So sometimes we even reschedule the repayment. Okay. In fact, our debt repayment to revenue ratio was around 544%. Was around 544%. Which means the revenue is not even sufficient to pay the interest or the repayment of the debt. So don't pay. How much you have generated to pay, you are forgiven. But how much you have generated to pay, you can only use it on ABC that we have seen to be improving the poverty level of the people, to be eradicating poverty, to be giving social amenity to people, etc. In fact, some of them at that time was to provide HIPIC toilet.
Yes.
Because the understanding was that people don't even have a place of convenience. So if we speak about HIPIC today as if maybe NDC sent us to HIPIC, then we are not faithful to but our predecessors.
Yes, but Prof.
Who took.
Yes, but Prof, from even your earlier submission, you indeed said that before you have to go to IMF, some of the factors that contribute to that is if you mismanage the economy.
Yes.
So one would say that it's because Jerry John Rawlings at the time, that is from 1993 to 2000, when he was leaving office, because he mismanaged the economy. That is why when the MPP took over, led by former President Kufuor, they had no option that to go to IMF.
I told you that there were options.
So where are some of those options available?
There are options. That is why I told you that HIPIC initiative was available since 1995, 1996. And many countries did not go for it, including Ghana, because they were weighing the effects. In fact, there are people who have written papers to the effect that those countries that went to HIPIC, they have more problem with their debt after they exited the HIPIC initiative.
Oh, okay.
Are you getting the point?
Yes.
So countries did an analysis and they felt that the proper thing for them to do was not to go for HIPIC. So again, if another government did an assessment, felt that the proper thing to do was to go to HIPIC, it is your policy decision to go. It is not to blame it on somebody. You feel that that is the best and you went. You could have at the same time cut expenditures, realign your activities, and see how you will promote restoration of your economy. You couldn't do that, and you decided to go to HIPIC. So don't blame it on anybody, because I keep saying that the HIPIC initiative was available. Many countries didn't take it. Even though the criteria the IMF World Bank was using was apparently present with them. So I think that is the point I'm making. And when I talk about mismanagement, mismanagement does not necessarily mean people took government money and they spent. Corruption is another aspect that we will need to discuss. But if, for example, people are not working and you set up a scheme and put them on the payroll and we cannot see their productivity and you are paying them, it is mismanagement.
Yes.
Even though it is giving food to people, it's giving earnings to people, it is actually you are mismanaging the money. Because there should be any state fund that you spend, that should be what we call value for money. So I think we need to understand it from that framework.
From there, we would now like to zoom into 2016. Before 2016, 2005, we know that former President Mahamat's administration also went to IMF, and they took about $918 million at the time. And it came with some conditionalities. And at the time that this particular facility or IMF program came, there was this hue and cry from the then opposition MPP that, because former President Mahama mismanaged the economy, that is how come the economy was broke to the extent that we have to go to IMF. And topical on the campaign agenda at the time, candidate Akufo-Addo and his running mate at the time did say that they will not go to IMF when they come to power. Now, but interestingly, we are hearing that government has taken some monies from IMF. So we would like you to let us know, why do you think that the MPP campaign against this, the NDCs going to IMF in 2015, but when they came to power, they are also taking money from IMF?
Okay, I think before we go to that period, we need to emphasize that the HIPIC initiative provided a lot of benefit for the country.
Okay.
At least it forced the managers of the economy at that time to realize that you need to invest in your people.
Okay.
So that is the mantra about social intervention. So that benefit went to our people. Then again, it helps reduce our debt stock.
Okay.
So the burden of debt was reduced to the barest minimum. And the IMF forced us to come out with programs that will consider to be beneficial to the people of Ghana. These three things are cardinal issues that I think anytime we're discussing the HIPIC initiative, we need to be discussed. That's why sometimes I laugh when people look at debt to GDP ratio and they say we are back to HIPIC. Yes. Here the debt to GDP ratio is high, even above the level it was when we went to HIPIC. But the remarkable thing about HIPIC is that it came with a package.
Okay.
Conditionalities and package. Now, if we are talking about HIPIC because the debt to GDP ratio, the ratio of debt repayment to revenue is hitting the roof. Exports, foreign exchange payment, the external debt payment component as a ratio of export revenue is not up to the level of the HIPIC period. It is actually has dwindled significantly. So we will say that all the ratios which were present during the HIPIC period are present today. But the reason why I don't want to be mentioning the word HIPIC is that there is no package.
Okay, there is no more package called
for you to go and take and say that I've gone to HIPIC.
But even right now, I understand Ghana we are classified as middle income country.
Yes, and that is why people are saying HIMIC, highly indebted middle income country. But the key thing is that
there is no more any package.
So even though the ratios,
even if you wish, the ratios are showing that you are the HIPIC period at the time.
All the ratios show.
Okay.
But there's no package for you guys to go and take.
So we can't even go.
So the IMF doesn't have HIPIC package available for us.
Okay.
I think you get a point. Yeah, you are saying that we went to IMF in 2015. Yeah, before then, let me also rekindle my discussion about our contribution to going back to IMF.
Okay.
Now, the HIPIC initiative reduced our debt stock significantly.
Okay.
And it promotes some sound economic environment.
Okay.
But as soon as we exited the IMF program in 2006, that is the HIPIC program in 2000, we call it HIPIC completion point.
Okay.
It means that the conditionality that they have put in place, you have been able to meet them. So you exit. Now, the question is, the low debt to GDP ratio, the low debt stock that we had as a result of the program. What happened thereafter? You saw that in 2007, our major touting was that we were able to raise the largest Eurobond of $750 million in Sub-Saharan Africa, which means that we have gone back to high appetite for debt. You know, by the beginning of 2008, our inflation rate was around 12.6%. By the end of 2008, the inflation was 18.6%.
Okay.
So it does not mean that we have not had this level of inflation before. The inflation in 2015, before the IMF program, was around 19%. Okay. It was reduced to 15.4% by the end of 2016. That is within a period of 1 year.
1 year.
But look at from 2007 to 2008, the end of 2007 up to the end of 2008, we have added 6 percentage points on the inflation because we have left the control of the IMF.
We've been left loose by IMF,
yes.
so
then
we started doing
borrowing. Then this mantra of fiscal space. The moment you hear fiscal space in a Ghanaian discussion about the fiscal situation of our country, we are looking for a space we can borrow. That is our idea. So the reduction in the debt stock and the debt to GDP ratio for us meant we have fiscal space to borrow excessively. So we have started piling the problems that culminated in our inability to service our debts and our inability to grow in the economy to provide opportunity. We have come to the same point. Then in so that ran with us. Then in 2008, you remember that the president at that time, I will not speak his mind, but I will only speak the facts.
Okay.
Without judging why he did that, but I will just speak the fact. The fact was that he signed the what do you call it? The new salary structure we are using.
The single spine.
The single spine. He signed the single spine. He left. But that huge emolument, remuneration package, compensation package that will go to workers was signed. And if you match it to the revenue the state is generating, it was going to be very difficult for any government to implement. But the new government came, it didn't say that you have signed a bad package for us. What we came to meet was so bad, but they embraced it.
And in fact, that package was our own initiative, and it wasn't IMF initiative.
Exactly.
It was our own initiative.
Yes. Okay. So the new government was burdened by that, and it has to, bear it, put in place strategies, programs to be able to accommodate it. Okay? And that was the starting point of the issues. You recall that the IMF itself and the World Bank released a statement just after the government left and painted a gloomy picture about the economy. If you inherited that gloomy picture, all you need to do is to put in place strategies to resolve them. Okay. So the new government from 2009 started addressing some of these issues. And unfortunately, we were using the traditional approach to address some of these issues. Then the debt started piling. Then we were revisiting our past until we got to the climax of the energy crisis, which needed immediate, robust plan of investment in the immediate term, medium term, and the long term to totally remove this energy crisis on our heads. And we can all see that that investment has actually meant well for the economy of Ghana. And by the middle of 2016, the issue of Dumsor was ended because of those investments, and which was huge in terms of the amount of money involved and the critical nature of those investments for the energy sector, and for that matter to revamp the cycle of economic activities in Ghana. So at that time also there was some form of reform in the IMF. In the past, the IMF will impose, this is the program that is good for you. But at that time, the IMF was basing its activities on what is called the homegrown strategy.
Strategy, yes.
So whatever was put before IMF was what Ghanaians felt was good.
Good for them.
Why did I say what Ghanaians felt was good? Now look, we have pied people at the public sector. We have done ABCD. Let us moderate it. And they gave it a name. But because we are in a political season, that name became a political campaign. That name became a political campaign. So that went into the politics. So the engagement with the IMF was not the same as the engagement in the 1983s or the early 1980s or the 2001 HIPIC initiative. But this is what we call the homegrown initiative or strategy that have been adopted by the IMF and say, okay, I will watch you to meet all the benchmarks
that you set out for yourself.
For yourself.
Okay.
To come out of the situation you find yourself. And the situation was generated cumulatively. And the major aspect of the situation was about the energy crisis. And that was significantly resolved before we end 2016. And many more investments were made, which started bearing fruit in 2017. So there is something very significant. And during the campaign, I believe the MPP was campaigning that going to IMF means mismanagement, exactly. And that they would never go to IMF. They even campaigned that when they come, they are going to cancel the IMF program. The question is, did they cancel? The answer is no.
Okay.
The question is, did they find something good in a program that helped the country reduce inflation within a year of engagement in that program, a year and a half of engagement in that program, reduce inflation from 19% to 15.4%? That is more than, that's significant reduction.
Reduction, yes.
And then that was stabilizing the exchange rate environment. Okay, that was stabilizing the exchange rate environment significantly. And that was also bringing people back to productive activity. So that was the program. So upon consultation, the government decided to maintain the program because the cost of trying to cancel the program was going to be very significant. So they maintained it, and they were to meet benchmarks. So there are two things.
Okay.
They were to meet benchmarks. It is possible that they couldn't meet the benchmarks, so they have to extend it to be able to meet the benchmark for the program to succeed. So they extended the program up to 2019, when the program ended because government has now met
the
benchmark.
So it was because the benchmark was not met.
Yes.
That is why they decided to extend it.
That is one.
Okay.
The number two, the program has the potency of ensuring that certain things were done to inure to the benefit of the economy.
Okay.
So one would say that they saw the program to be good, so they had to extend it. So if you choose to extend a program, it's a program you like.
Yes.
It's a program you love. It's a program which is fruitful. So you extended it. So at that point in time, it was not NDC that held the hand of MPP to extend it. It's the decision of MPP to hold on to the program. It's the decision of the MPP to extend the program, which they say when they come, they are coming to cancel.
So Prof, let me find out from you. At the time that you made mention of a consultative, dialogue, which went on at Senchi, was the MPP or members of the MPP not part of that particular discussion?
The answer is yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because some critical people who serve under the MPP were part of the program.
Okay.
Our economist Kwame Pianim was there as a key. He played a key role there. I can recall other people like Dr. Joe Abbey.
Okay.
And then I can recall that Dr. Paul Akwa,
okay,
the Bank of Ghana governor under President Kufuor was there. I can recall these people who are supposed to be part of the MPP. And I believe the number was not so much because the MPP announced that they are not going to be part of the dialogue, and for that matter, their members should not be part of the dialogue. So on one hand, some key members were part, and on the other hand, they were not part as a party.
Okay. So before we continue, let's acknowledge our sponsors. This show is proudly sponsored by Senyo Global Solutions. Senyo Global Solutions is an IT firm that focuses on web development, mobile app development, graphic design, digital marketing, and anything IT that can move your business. If you want a website, you want email, corporate email, to have your corporate email, for example, maybe prof@profgachi.com, you want it on your phone, Senyo Global Solutions can provide that. Call Senyo Global Solutions on 0200-913101. Senyo Global Solutions. They say life made simple. Thank you very much. Welcome back, and Prof, we will continue quickly, and then we are almost wrapping up. Now, there's this word that we always hear, and it's on the lips of every politician: IMF bailout, IMF bailout. What is IMF bailout?
Well, I think that is what people are using to determine whether a government has gone to IMF or not. You see, a bailout, we should look at it in a simple term.
Okay.
You are bailing somebody out. It means the person is in difficulty. You are coming in to support the person. That is what a bailout is. Okay? So you are looking for a solution from that entity. It could be financial, it could be policy, whatever. So you realize that people say the NDC went into the IMF program because of policy credibility. If you need a policy that will be accepted, and when we talk of policy credibility, we only mean a policy that resonates with the citizens, that resonates with international partners, and that resonates with the investing ecosystem about your economy. So if IMF, at that critical time, the IMF could provide that policy credibility, nobody should shy away from going to IMF for policy credibility, because policy credibility is also needed to enhance economic management. At that time, the IMF provided around $18 million. If it is about the $918 million, Ghana could have gone to the market to raise $1 billion, even if it has very expensive rate. But it's not merely about the money. Okay. It's about many other things. Okay. And that policy credibility that people try to denigrate was so crucial for Ghana, and Ghana got it. And that was the reason why Ghana was able to do a lot of investment even during those difficult periods.
They had the option
because the program was supposed to be 3 years. So after 3 years, if we did the right thing, it should have ended.
Then it means that those who went for the bailout, those who went for the money, didn't do the right thing. That is why when the MPP came, they had no option than to extend it.
It's not true. You went for a particular program, and they are giving you benchmark. Okay. And those benchmarks are being followed. Okay. So we are left with barely a year. To end the program. So when you come, you only have to implement it, end the period. Especially when you say that going to IMF
was because of mismanagement.
Then you clear it and you are gone. But the fact that you have extended it then maybe you want to say that you were mismanaging. That is why you extended it. But I don't want to take it from that angle.
Okay.
Because number one, you find a good in the program, you needed it, you extended it. Or you were not able to manage the economy to meet the benchmarks. So that is it. So for me, the question is, we go to IMF for different reasons. And the IMF itself has packages for different circumstances. For example, the HIPIC initiative was a package developed by the IMF because at that time there was widespread debt distress situation across sub-Saharan Africa. So they wanted a package to deal with the situation.
Thank you very much. If you are watching, you just tune in, this is the Watchman Show, and our guest tonight is Professor John Gashi. He's taking us into IMF and Ghana relationship. He was indeed saying that during the COVID era, IMF bailed out Ghana. So now Ghana is in IMF. Is that what you are saying?
No, for you to be in IMF, it only means that you are benefiting from them.
Okay. It's not about conditionality.
There's condition attached to the 1 billion rapid credit facility. The condition is that you must spend it. You must spend it on COVID-19 related activities, and you should be able to account for that COVID-19 expenditure. So you can't say there is
there's no condition.
There is conditionality. In fact, that is the reason why in the Article 4 consultative meeting report that was done, I think, in July or so, the IMF actually asked government of Ghana to engage in COVID-19 expenditure audit because that should have been provided, and it was not done. Even citizens were asking, government didn't provide. So it is in the IMF report that government should conduct COVID-19 expenditure report, audit and report.
Okay.
Because that
was part of the condition
that you are going to spend the money solely on COVID-19 activities. So that was a condition.
So why this hue and cry?
There is no hue and cry.
Yes. So why
the point is that when we say you went to IMF, it means that you went to take something to solve your problem.
But, Prof, just
when you went to IMF and structural adjustment, where did you go? You have a problem that will come and help you to resolve. Is that not so?
Yes.
When you went to IMF in 2015, where did you go? You have a problem, you want a solution from them, you want a support from them.
Yes.
When you went for 1 billion, where did you go for the 1 billion from?
To help us.
You went from where? From ADB?
No, from
NIB? From Commercial Bank? From Consolidated Bank? Or from where? From IMF. So did you go to IMF?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Did you go to come and play? No. There was a problem at hand. Your resources alone will not be able to resolve it. You took $219 million from stabilization fund. It is not sufficient. You took some money from World Bank, not sufficient. Okay? You set up COVID-19 trust fund, not sufficient. So you needed more? Yes. Why did you go for it? IMF. Did you go to IMF? Answer is yes.
So we are back to IMF.
Yes, we are back to IMF.
No.
But
Prof,
I told you that. I told you that going to IMF now has taken a different dimension.
Okay.
Because the IMF has a new principle that let the people bring their strategies. Let us fit it into our activities, our traditions, to see whether we are in position to support them or not. So we drew our plan as to what every other country is doing to support their citizens in terms of getting PPEs, in terms of getting healthcare facilities, in terms of getting our businesses which are struck by COVID-19 some support. That is the package we sent to IMF. And we have added our finances to it. And when the IMF released the 1 billion, it published the finances that we gave to them.
Okay.
So who told you there was no condition?
So, but
the fact that you are not paying interest does not mean there's no condition. The fact that you start paying after 5 years does not mean there's no condition.
But why are
they look into your books?
Why are we being told that Ghana is not in IMF, or Ghana did not? Because I clearly remember the finance minister during the mid-year budget review. He indeed clearly stated, and you wrote even an article on it. He said that despite the COVID-19 situation, Ghana did not go for IMF bailout. That is what the finance minister said. But now you are saying that the fact that they went to take 1 billion from IMF with the condition that it should be spent solely on COVID-related activity and it should be accounted for, it means the IMF bailed them out. But they said no.
Right. This is what I'm saying. You can go and present to the finance minister and see whether he will deny. He cannot deny. Ghana, I ask you, that 1 billion, where did you take it from? If you take it from commercial bank, tell us. You took the money from IMF. Did you apply for it?
Yes.
Did you submit documentation as to what you want to do for the IMF to see that you fit into this program, you qualify? Answer is yes. Was the money released to you by IMF? Yes. Were you told that you need to spend the money on COVID-19 activity? Yes. Were you told that you need to account of that 1 billion spent on COVID-19 activity through an audit? Answer is yes. So what is the meaning of you are not going to IMF?
Prof, we are just wrapping up. Just last week, and indeed, you had an interview with Awake News, and that particular news went viral, in where you were quoted to have said that Ghana is back to IMF, but lack transparency. And you actually said greater transparency is needed. And this particular interview was in relation to an announcement from government that they have taken delivery of another $1 billion from the same IMF. Why did you say, are you calling for a greater transparency in this particular facility? Very simple.
Ghanaians have been calling for total audit of the COVID-19 monies made available to Ghana government. They are not getting answers to that. Then in July, the IMF in its report published on its website asked government.
Okay.
In fact, that was an exit process, so it's not a report on the blind side of government. Asked government to conduct COVID-19 expenditure audit. It has not been done. Till now.
Then so how come they were giving another money?
Yes, they are giving that money because the IMF assessment shows that some countries need extra support. So they look into their portfolio of benefit that member countries can get, that the states have a sovereign control as to how they want to spend it. But they wish they could spend it in the healthcare sector because we're in a healthcare pandemic. Then they could use part to deal with their reserves. So it's a choice. That's why we are calling for transparency. Now, remember, when we are talking about transparency, it's broader. You see, the moment some money that you have not budgeted for, even if it's a donation, when it lands into the government coffers, it becomes public funds. Then it becomes subject to Public Financial Management Act. And per the Public Financial Management Act and the Constitution of Ghana, or for you to spend public funds, one, it must be budgeted for, and that budget must be approved by Parliament. So you cannot say you have received 1 billion, it's free money, comes to and you don't want to tell us how you want to use it. That is not transparency. Because the moment the money falls into government or the account for the state, it becomes public funds. It is subject to public financial management. That is the simple thing that we are asking.
So Prof, why do you think that Ghana is unable to present the COVID-19 audit to IMF? And do they actually have any timeline per the conditions?
I didn't read a timeline in the report. But as to why government didn't present, I'll answer the first part.
Okay.
But I can't answer the second part.
Okay.
The second part should be answered by the finance minister.
Okay.
And then the auditor general.
Okay.
So the first part is because they don't have. If they have, they will present.
Okay.
But as to why that comprehensive audit was not conducted, I don't know. But failure to conduct the comprehensive report means that we are not meeting the conditionality. And we are not serving the people of Ghana well. Because they have been asking. They have been asking.
Okay.
So for me, the moment you didn't go for that money from commercial bank or from Bank of Ghana, you present documentation to claim to IMF that you qualify to get that $1 billion and they have approved it for you. They approve it too. Who approved it? IMF. And why are you telling me that you have not gone to IMF?
So why is it that even, Prof, with our interaction with citizens on the street, nobody seems to be aware that
that is why the transparency is needed. If you have informed citizens, now look, as part of the COVID-19 activities, we needed extra support from the IMF. We have gone. But because the government, since opposition time, indicated quite clearly that going to IMF means mismanagement. If you were to be the one, you wouldn't want people to know that you are benefiting from IMF.
Okay.
That's all that is happening.
Okay.
So many citizens don't know that MPP went to IMF in 2001 through the HIPIC initiative. So in the same way, they want to hide it from people that they are getting support from the IMF. Whatever you go to IMF to do is just a support. So the question is, did you receive support from IMF? Answer definitely is yes. Okay. Why is the UK not in IMF? Why is the US not collecting money from IMF? Why is Singapore not doing so? And you collect money and you say you have nothing to do with IMF. You have not been going to IMF.
Okay, last question is that you are a lawyer, and are there any legal measures for citizens to actually press on government to account for this COVID-19, $1 billion that they have taken from IMF as citizens?
Why not?
Thank you very much.
I think you are aware that an MP has sent government to court about the delay in appointing DCs.
Honorable Dapemekpo,
yes.
MP for Southern.
The Public Financial Management Act is very clear. So if you feel that those in charge, especially the finance minister, and they are not transparent about these things, why not?
Thank you very much. If you feel that the finance minister have a question to answer, why not ask him?
Because if that opportunity is not provided to citizens, then it means anybody who become a government, part of a government, can do anything in terms of our finances and go away. I believe you are aware that people have gone to Supreme Court for interpretation as to whether the $2.25 billion Eurobond issue, early part of 2007, was in line with the Public Financial Management Act, especially in section 56(1) of the Public Financial Management Act, which indicate that whether you're going for domestic funds or not, for you to borrow, you must first of all seek approval from Parliament.
Thank you very much. And viewers, thank you very much for staying with us. And Professor John Gachi, we thank you very, very much for your in-depth, information, the information you have provided us to educate us. We appreciate it, and we know definitely we will follow you again. VTV, our name is Vuvoli TV. Viewers, thank you for also staying with us. Make time with us next week, Wednesday.